Robert.
Yo, what's shaking AC?
Not much. I got a question for you.
Okay.
What's your current favorite country song?
Oh boy, where do I go? I've been listening to Country On a lot by Luke Bryan. Definitely been getting into that. Some Chris Stapleton, Luke Combs. I love his new stuff. Matt Martin, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. Shout out to Matt Martin, franchise cowboy.
Yep.
In a good way. I meant that in a good way. Um, Also, speaking of shout out and thank you to all the veterans, Canadian, American, and anywhere in the world that fight for freedom for their country. In Canada here, we wear a poppy on Remembrance Day. So I thought I would just point that out and say thank you to them for their service.
Right. Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, you ready for a rant?
Yes, I was born ready.
Right, right. Okay, so I was going to ask you, having been as yourself as an emerging franchisor at the Emerging Franchisor Conference, which I was at as well to network with emerging and established franchisors who were the speakers and just kind of connect with the IFA. What, in your shoes as an emerging franchisor, were some of your key takeaways or what's really standing out for you?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's standing out to me is I can't believe I haven't been to Nashville before. That place is fantastic and now holds a special place in my heart. I think I'm going to join Matt and just peace out and move to Nashville.
Okay.
um, but I mean, in all seriousness, being at the Emerging Franchisor Conference, there was a lot of people there that I hadn't seen at other conferences, other emerging franchisors. We've got kind of like a tight-knit community. Everyone kind of knows everyone. And I went there and I was like, wow, these are all new emerging franchisors. And so it gave me a good opportunity to network with people and learn what they're doing right or wrong or whatever it might be. And I think the biggest thing that sort of stood out for me is that I couldn't I guess I couldn't believe what was really vibrant was that the need for proper coaching within the emerging franchisor community. That these franchisors need to have coaching for their franchisees. And after seeing that, like I was thinking about it, like, why don't they? Do they not know about it? Are they trying to do it themselves? Like, what's going on? And I started to think about a lot of other emerging franchisors I speak to that do try to do it themselves. And oftentimes it ends up flopping because as an emerging franchisor, you've got to wear so many different hats, not just within the realm of supporting franchisees, but also growing your business, that sometimes you get overwhelmed and sometimes things start to slack, and the slack oftentimes falls on the coaching side and it isn't as fruitful or robust as it should be if it were done by a third party or a professional or an internal employee that specifically does that.
Yeah, I think we see this so much, even like emerging is such a big range. It could be some people will say up to 100 units or it could be 30, whatever. It's a big range there, but it is actually also to us really surprising at AC Inc. The number of or the fact that it gets pushed aside, like not pushed aside, but kind of it gets like just naturally kind of left, right? Like left aside. And I think what happens, you tell me, as you kind of just said it, but as an emerging franchisor, you're so focused to a certain point. You're like, if I could just sell more franchises, I can get more franchise fees and not that you should be living off that, but you do usually need that in the early stages, and you need the royalties from more franchisees. And so you're not really thinking about that until it starts to hit you, right? Like you're thinking like, I know I should. It's kind of like going to the gym when people, put that off, right? Like, I know I should be going to the gym, but like I have to work because if I don't work, I won't make money. And I have to sleep because if I don't sleep, I won't be able to get through the workday. It's kind of like that, where it's like these other things are like pressing. And then what we normally see, and I'm curious with the people you talk to, what you saw, but we usually see it's around 25 units where they start to really feel that and go, oh, we missed on this. And if we don't get something in place right now, like you said, either internally or out fractional or whatever, that we are going to not be able to award any more franchises because our franchisees are going to talk smack about us. Is that did I use that in the right context?
Yes, you did. Yeah, that's the right context. Listen, look, I think If you are a brand new franchisor and you aren't working with somebody, external or internal that knows franchising, it's very easy to fall into the cycle of, hey, if we train them and we give them an ops manual, like they should be able to just do it. You know what I mean? Like we've laid everything out for them. And so that's what a
And they
new
paid for all that stuff you laid out. So you're thinking they're going to just tap into it and use it.
Yeah. And like you paid for it to be developed. They paid for it to get it.
Yeah. That's what
And like you've put in a lot of time to create it. Ultimately, like your business has been defined in a document end to end and in your training process end to end. And you just sort of feel like, all right, I've done all this. This should be good enough. Here we go. Right. And just put it out there and step and repeat. And that's totally common because I find that that's most of the rhetoric that comes from online web searches as to how to franchise, create a manual, push it out, just step and repeat, right? And so these emerging franchisors that try to build their business off of what they find online think that that's enough. And that will give them the freedom and the time to start selling more franchises and all that. And, but what happens is that doesn't work. That's not enough. And so if you don't put that focus in early on, even though it may be like a chunk of your budget that you'd rather spend somewhere else, then later on, you're going to be feeling those repercussions, like a Nashville hot chicken.
Okay, we'll come back to the hot chicken in a minute, but it's very interesting to hear you say this because this is why, what we do at AC Inc., we help with this. We do, the fractional field coaching, and we train coaches and help people hire them and all that. And it's, you never know if you're just biased and think it's a problem, but from your perspective and the people that you talk to, that was what you were hearing. And so are people talking about like franchisee performance being an issue, or franchisees are disengaged, or all of the above? Like what kinds of things were you hearing?
I mean, I think all of the above, like they need their franchisees to make more money. They need their franchisees to be more brand compliant or more engaged with their system, or, more innovative, or just more driven, more grit and moxie, and all of this. Like if you've brought on a franchisee and you're confident that it is a good franchisee and it's been vetted properly, which is a whole other rant. But let's make that assumption. Then if they're not doing the way that you would expect them to do, you got to look internally and see where the shortcoming is. And I can say like 9.5 or 9.9 times out of 10 it's because there isn't any coaching, or it's not good coaching. I guess I would put it that way. And it takes a very specific, resilient person to be a business coach. It's sometimes a thankless job. You're constantly giving the same advice over and over. You're bringing a horse to water, but sometimes that horse doesn't drink. And so you need to change the way you present things. And, founders, C-suite people, regardless how big your business is like, it's a different skill set.
Oh, totally right. I just wanted to kind of go back to, so one of the things, like when it comes to coaching, one of the things that I was hearing a lot, and I was thankful for, because it is something that we love to help with, is that, and I feel bad for franchisors that have this issue, but that their franchisees need more business skills training. Like, so there's, what we're really, I guess, identifying is that there's this like business skills training, and there's also growth coaching. So business skills training is making sure they really understand their metrics, and maybe some leadership training, initial training and ongoing training. But then the coaching is the growth coaching is like helping them see the value of growing. Where do they want to get to? And then demystifying that for them and helping reverse engineer like what steps need to happen to get there. So it is interesting though that people buy into the system. It's amazing how every franchisor I talk to has those franchisees that they're like, they just don't want to listen to us. And like, it's the nature of franchising that you're going to get some people that, slip through the cracks, and they're not a fit, or you're not connecting properly with them. There's so many things it could be.
Yeah. And if you have a coach, especially an external one, they're able to bridge that gap. Let's wrap it up.
Okay, let's go. 3,
2, 1.
One.
Go be awesome.